Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video is a bit different. We're diving into a revision session for UPSC Sociology using the notes I have compiled. So now before we start, a quick heads up. Teaching is in the main goal here. So this is more about revisiting and consolidating my own understanding. But hey, if this helps you out in your journey, I'm absolutely thrilled. So my notes are a blend of various resources. They include insights from the internet, from NCRT books, ignore material, and of course snippets from classroom lectures I have attended. So it's quite a mix. This video is intended to be a casual walkthrough of these notes, helping us brush up on key concepts and theories in sociology. Whether you're preparing for UPSC or just curious about it, I hope you find this session beneficial. So let's get started. So the first topic is modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. So in modernity and emergence of sociology are intertwined concepts deeply influenced by social changes during 18th and 19th centuries. This period was marked by enlightenment, industrial revolution, and various political revolutions. So we're going to talk about enlightenment and industrial revolutions and various political revolutions. So what is enlightenment? So enlightenment was embodied by revolutionary movements in 15th to 18th century. So what are those? Commerce, scientific revolution, French revolution, industrial revolution. So all these four make up the enlightenment period in 15th to 18th century. So let's talk about enlightenment period. So the roots of the ideas developed by early sociologists are grounded in social condition that prevailed in Europe in that particular period of time. The emergence of sociology as a scientific discipline can be traced to the period of European history, which saw such tremendous social, political, and economic changes as embodied in French and Industrial Revolution. This period of change in European society is known as Enlightenment period. So basically the changes that these revolutions brought in that period is called Enlightenment period. So this period marked a radical change from traditional thinking of feudal Europe. So basically what modernity is change from the traditional thing. That's what modernity means. So let's talk about how traditional Europe is and the changes that brought in the Europe that made it modern. So structure and change in European society. Old Europe was traditional. So what's traditional? So land was central to its economic system. So land was very important, and there were three classes, namely owners, those who own the land, feudal lords, and peasants. So religion was cornerstone of the society. So religion heads decides what's moral or not. So family and kinship central to lives of people. Monarchy firmly rooted in the society. Yeah. King believed to divinely ordained to rule over the people. So basically there was absolute monarchy, and king believed that they have God's will on them, that they can rule over the people. That's what they believed back in that time. So New Europe ushered in by two revolutions, namely French and Industrial Revolutions. So basically both challenged each and every central feature of the whole Europe. So classes were recognized, old classes were overthrown, and new classes arose. Yeah, previously classes were there, but they're not as cut clear and they were recognized. Now Old classes were recognized and they were overthrown, and new classes arose. Religion was questioned, it lost its importance. Yeah. If you go to tradition, you can see that religion was a cornerstone of society. Now it lost its importance. Family loyalties gave way to ideological commitments. So even the family structure changed. So position of women changed. So that's there. And monarchy was overthrown. Monarchy was overthrown. Now democracy was heralded in. So now there is democracy. So these are the modernity changes that brought upon French and industrial revolutions. So this is the modern Europe and versus the traditional Europe. So commercial revolution, it's between 1450 to approximately 1800. So let's talk about it. Shift of medieval Europe to a more dynamic and worldwide system. So it shifted from medieval times to dynamic and worldwide system. Okay. Commercial revolution means expansion of trade and commerce that took place from 15th century. Basically, trade and commerce that took from 15th century. So it expanded, it became worldwide. That's what commercial revolution simply put. So modern social changes caused by commercial revolution. So trade with oriental countries or eastern countries like India and China and America. So it became worldwide, right? So especially with oriental countries or eastern countries like India. Expansion of banking, yeah, this is a very important feature. So banking become very important right now. So credit facilities were expanded, making it easy for merchants all over Europe to do business. Check, this is the first time check was invented. Paper money replaced gold and silver coins. This is where paper money came into existence and became very important. So due to commercial revolution. So growth of companies. So growth of company. Trade led to growth of companies and organizations. Regulated companies came from here only. So that is the in East Indian companies origin can be seen from here. So joint stock companies emerged in 17th century. So as I already told, you can see the example British East Indian Company. So rise of a new class. So rise of a new class, as we already talked before. So rise of middle class to economic power. The new class is nothing but the middle class, and they rose to economic power. So by the 17th century, middle class became influential in every Western European country. So they became central, and it includes, so what are these middle class people? Merchants, bankers, ship owners, and investors. Strengthening of monarchy. Yeah, monarchy again became strong. But important thing is the church declined. So this marked the beginning of process of Europeanization, which was to reach peak with colonialism. So commercial revolution started the process of Europeanization, and it reached its penultimate on colonialism. Scientific revolution and Renaissance period. Europe produced scientific revolution in the Renaissance period of 14th to 16th century. Science doesn't develop independent of society. It's not independent. So rather it develops in response to human needs. So as the saying goes, necessity of the mother of the invention. So it was at the time, it was a need of science, hence science developed. For example, vaccines were developed to cure diseases. They were need to treat diseases, so vaccines were needed and they were developed. In medieval period, as religion was epicenter, science was restricted to improvements of techniques of productions. So before modernity, religion was epicenter, so science was restricted to means of productions only. So like you can only use technology to increase production, factory instruments and all. Now it got expanded. Renaissance period saw beginning of scientific revolution. It marked an area of description and criticism in field of science. Yeah, so basically description and criticism of the science itself started in this period. Thus for science revolution is it break from past a challenge to old authority. So it's challenged its old authority. That's what science is. We'll get into it in depth in other chapters. So we'll get to science, sociology as a science. We'll know what exactly is science and all. Art, literature, and science all flourish. That's what Renaissance period usually means. Scientific approach to nature and human body became prevalent. Yeah, this is actually one of the important things. So human and nature are two different concepts, and they were made intertwined. So I'll give you an example. Dissection of human body became acceptable. A general theory of chemistry was developed, and navigation and astronomy both got also developed. Vasco da Gama reached Goa in 1498. Columbus discovered America in 1492. Copernicus heliocentric theory got questioned. As I said, scientific theory questions its old authority, right? So this is an example. So Copernicus heliocentric theory question all prevailing geocentric theory. So this is basically known as Copernican revolution. So heliocentric theory is Earth is at the center and it revolves around the other planets. That is what Copernicus heliocentric theory is. And geocentric theory is Earth is the center. Okay, I'm sorry. Earth is the center and other planets revolve around it. That's the geocentric. Heliocentric is sun is the center and planets like Earth revolve around us. So there is an era of the Renaissance. It's called post-Renaissance development. So we'll talk about it. So experimental methods in physics and science. Galileo, Kepler, Isaac Newton revolutionized science. Yeah, these three names are important. So it brought experiment methods. Yeah, this is where experiment methods got flourished. Old ideas were challenged and alternatives were suggested. If the alternatives were proven, they know, or else, if alternatives are proven, they are accepted, or else new solutions were sought. So science is always the search for new ideas and acceptance of the new ideas, and if they fail, they can search for new ideas. That's what science is about. Scientific methods became most accurate and most objective. So this is what Renaissance is. And there is also biological evolution. So let's talk about it. So circulation of blood, it is given by William Harvey. Yeah. So experimental methods in physics and science was the first point in post-Renaissance development, and the second point is about circulation of blood, which is a biological evolution. So this is what I meant when human and nature were approached. Human body became prevalent. So scientific approach to nature and human body became prevalent. That is what I meant. Circulation of blood. So now we got scientific approach to human blood, which is given by William Harvey. The human organism came to be viewed in terms of interrelated parts and interconnected systems. So this is the scientific approach to human body that viewed human organism as interrelated parts and interconnected systems. So why did I highlight this? Because this had impact on Kant, Spencer, and other sociologists. So Darwin's evolution theory, another biological evolution. So it basically says that he traced origins of human species to some ape-like ancestors, which over centuries evolved into modern humans. So basically, this influenced thinker like Herbert Spencer that societies are just organisms, unjust organisms, but are evolving. Yeah, we will come to Herbert Spencer's theory later in other chapters. So let's go a bit deeper into French Revolution now. So French Revolution erupted in 1789. So turning point in human history and struggle for freedom and equality. This is the most important thing. So it put an end to age of feudalism. Feudalism is the traditional method of Europe. So as we already talked, modernity was brought in by French Revolution. So basic picture of French society. So there are three estates. First estate is compromised of clergy, and second estate is nobility. Third estate is peasants, merchants, artisans, and other bourgeoisie. So clergy you can again divide into higher clergy, lower parish, and nobility is ward nobilities and robe nobilities. It basically means big landlords and magistrates. And bourgeoisie are also known as middle class. So clergy and nobility, the first two estates basically exploited the poor. So, and the poor went against these two classes, and that's what the revolution of French is about. So political aspect. So 200 years of Bourbon dynasty ruled the France. Ordinary people had no personal rights. So ordinary people basically had no rights. They only served king and his nobles. King word was law and no trials required to arrest a person. Different region has different laws. So people are fed up with this uncertainty and different laws, and king as absolute. So absolute monarchy and divine right of king theory was followed. I already talked about this, but we're diving into the deep here. So economy aspect of French Revolution. So Louis XIV onward fought costly wars. So war is always costly. Remember that. So it ruined the country and France went bankrupt. But Louis XV kept on borrowing money from bankers instead of recovering from the loss of wars. So Louis XVI inherited an already bankrupted government. So that is the economic aspect. Basically, they fought costly wars instead of recovering from the from the losses of the war. They kept borrowing from the bank and just went bankrupt. Intellectual development in France. There is Montesquieu, Locke, Voltaire, and Rousseau. It is very important question. So please remember that. So Montesquieu, Spirit of Law book. There should be concentration of authority. It talks about concentration of authority. So he believed in separation of powers and liberty of individual. Locke advocated certain rights which can be taken away by any authority, and those rights are right to live, right to property, right to personal freedom. Voltaire advocated religious toleration and freedom of speech. Yeah. Rousseau, the social contract, believed people can develop their personalities under a government which is of their own choice. Basically, it's talking about democracy. Industrial Revolution began around 1760 AD England. New tools and techniques were invented to increase production of goods on large scale. Organization of production, new tools gave rise to factory system. These new inventions and organization gave a something called factory system. So it changed feudal to capitalist form of production. So if traditional Europe is feudal, modern Europe is capitalist. New class emerged. So the new class is called capitalist, who control the system of productions. So handmade goods lost their importance. Now there are only machine made goods. So there are few inventions which were crucial to the uh, industrial revolution. One is spinning engine for the clothes, steam engine, and arc race water frame. So impact of industrial revolution on society. So capitalism. So as we already talked, we need banks. So banks already rose. So rise of banks. But the important thing is insurance companies rose this time and finance corporations also rose. New class of industrial workers, managers and capitalist emerged. So there are two new classes right now. One is capitalist class and another is industrial workers. Rise of population, yeah. Increased urbanization. So population has increased, which in turn led to urbanization. People went to cities due to in need of work in the factories, thereby increasing urbanization. So industrial cities grew rapidly, which led to rapid urbanization. So factory workers, repetitive and boring work as they couldn't enjoy. So the work isn't very creative. It's just like a robot thingy. They just assembly line, they put things and all. So though it's just basically repetitive. So Karl Marx says that workers became alienated from the product of their labor. So if a worker makes a product, the product is taken away from the worker, right? That's what happens when you buy something. It is actually separated from who makes it. So that is what called alienated from the product. So in case of workers, the product of their labor is alienated from themselves. These changes influenced both conservative and radical thinkers. Conservative, there are two schools of thoughts. So conservatives thought that this would lead to chaos and disorders, and radicals like Engels thought factory owners, factory workers would initiate social transformation. Themes of industrial revolution which concerned early sociologists. Conditions of labor. The conditions of labor was very bad. So you can see they lived in poverty, socially deprived, and they are indispensable in the new systems. If a worker doesn't come, they can just hire a new worker and get the work done. So they're just an expense. Transformation of property. So land is no longer the central part as it is in traditional Europe. Now the money or the capital became important. Urbanism, as we already talked, urbanization was inevitable, and because of that, industries grew. It's a vicious cycle. So technology and factory system, large scale migration of people to the cities. So yeah, factories, it's basically the same. Women and children also joined workforce. Shift from domestic to factory work. So women from domestic to shifted from domestic to factory to work. So family relations changed. So that's about all these revolutions. I believe I covered everything. So intellectual influences affecting the emergence of sociology. Was an PYQ, intellectual influences affecting the emergence of sociology. That's so. As we talked, sociology. Why did sociology emerge? It emerged due to responses to forces of change in Enlightenment period. Right. So thinkers of Enlightenment period affected early sociology. They applied, what did they do? They applied scientific principles of analysis to study of human beings and their nature and society. So they applied scientific approach to study human beings and their behavior and even society. They upheld reason as measure to judge social institutions and their suitability for human nature. So they upheld rationality. So they thought rationality is a good measure to judge social institutions. They believe human beings are capable of attaining perfections. So there are other three influences. These are the main important things actually. philosophy history, biological theory of evolution, survey of social conditions. Philosophy history basically developed in 19th century. Its basic assumption is that society progressed through a series of steps from simple to complex. That is what philosophy history means. Biological theory of evolution we already studied. It basically means that sociology moved towards an evolutionary approach. So, seeking to identify and account for principal stages in sociology. So we already talked, right? Charles Darwin and stuff. That's what this talks. Sociology tendency to be modeled on biology. Yeah, this is what biology of evolution means, as seen in the concept of organism by Herbert Spencer and Durkheim. So these three and social surveys. Social surveys form important element in modern sociology. It emerged due to the conviction that methods of natural science can be extended to the study of human affairs. Yes, it believes that natural science can be applied to humans and poverty. It was recognized that poverty was not natural but social. So basically, the intellectual forces are, if we summarize, scientific principle of analysis and rationality as a measure. Humans believed incapable of attaining perfection, philosophy history, biological theory of evolution, and survey of social conditions. So that is Enlightenment period, emergence of sociology, and intellectual factors influencing emergence of sociology. We have covered those topics. And finally, another question is that sociology emerged in Europe but flourished in USA with social reformist orientation. Flourishment in USA is not actually in syllabus, but this was asked in sociology UPSC previous year question, so that's why I have made notes on this. So sociology emerged in Europe during 19th century as a response to social and political revolution, as we already talked. So for the founding fathers like Emile Durkheim, Karl Marx, and Weber focused on understanding rapidly changing social orders and impact of understanding the nature of social cohesion and conflict. Sorry for the call. So basically, these people are studying the rapid social changes back then. So impact of industrialization and its nature of social cohesion and conflict. So flourishment in USA with social orientation. So in USA, sociology flourished with a social reformist orientation. In USA, sociology developed a bit later. Around late 19th century and early 20th century, American sociology's tradition was marked by reformist orientation. This is due to, so why it is so reformist? Because there are many problems in that time at USA, such as immigration, urbanization, and racial inequality. So sociologists like Jane Addams and W.B. Du Bois were actively involved in social reform movements. You can have examples of Adams' work with Hull House and Du Bois' research on race relations. So there are some differences between Europe and USA. Europe focuses on theories, while USA focuses on practicality and application. So it basically emphasizes on social problems and policies. Influence of historical context. So in Europe, if we see the emergence of sociology is due to rapid industrialization and political revolution, but in sociology, in USA, sociology happened because of immigrant pollution, population, sorry for that, racial issues, immigrant population, and racial issues. Hence, the need for social integration. So, over time, what happened is that European sociology became empirical, and USA sociology became more acceptance toward theoretical questions. So, this is the first topic. I believe I covered everything, and thank you.